what was said and what was done. Going back to what Corey was saying, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, as far as we have site owners. When Corey was talking about them managing their own site, we are a small team. Right now I'm the only federal employee, and there's someone else coming on board May 23rd. Yes. And we have 5 FTE contractors. And so, with the amount of usage that we have in knowledge management, we have to make people self-sufficient. Users have to be self-sufficient. But we do the groundwork for that. Corey holds bi-weekly site owner meetings where the site owners can come in and ask their questions. We have 3 levels of training: SharePoint 101, 102, 103, and depending on what role you're going to be, you cannot be a site owner until you've completed all 3. We made this mistake of letting 2 or 3 people slip in, and we learned the hard way. No, regardless of who you are, you have to take the training. But that's how we keep it manageable. I always jump right into the after. Want to move on? So we encourage people by making them self-sufficient and providing what's called the FHWA portal. We have a central location now that these people who may not share the same drives, they have a location where they can have documents that they can work on collaboratively or a central storage place. We are working still on a expert locator or that type of thing. We've still got some work on finding the bridge trainers. That's not as strong as we'd like it to be. And of course the discussion boards. That was something that our users were very familiar with as far as the communities of practice. So they've been able to move into that. It's just a new way of doing it that's easier to use than Lotus Dominant was. So that has continued. We have migrated all of our internal communities of practice into SharePoint. Corey, what about the guide in that area?
I think that covers the majority of it. I mean, as you see, with web conferencing, we had named users. With communities of practice, we had community leaders, and now with SharePoint, we have site owners. So the technology doesn't really matter to us. It's just the idea of, okay, this is yours. We're going to hand you the keys. You got to take a little bit of training first to kind of know what you're getting into and to kind of help us, because we're not a help desk. There's no phone number to call. Well, there is, but the number's not.
We try to keep it to ourselves.
Try to pretend we're not, but it ends up being very helpful, because that 2,300 number, we only looked at that, I think, 2 months ago, and we're all shocked. And sharing that with other modes that might have 400 staff members. And they go, we get 50 tickets a day or 50 calls a day. We go, our users actually have never heard of any of these people. They just sort of seem to be doing their thing. It turns out most of the successful pockets are quiet. But we even try to turn those people into a community. So there's bi-weekly meetings. Had them now for about 2 years, inviting site owners to join a web conference and talk about what works. And every other week, it's 5 minutes before the meeting. I haven't had time to write an agenda, and I go, I hope nobody shows up this time. I have lots of other things to do. And everybody always shows up, and we always spend the entire hour. And it's just people who share this role. They share almost nothing else in common, but share this role, and they want to talk about it. There is a definite need there.
Well, the first month that Corey shared that we had 23 unique users, I wouldn't tell anybody because I just couldn't believe that we had that many people who were going into SharePoint. So after the second month, I felt like I could, it was an accurate number, and we could report out on that. Again, we open it up to you. Any similar situations, anything that you want to share, any questions you have to answer?
some questions about governance. So you're enabling people to collaborate and to share, to do their jobs more effectively. Who is the record owner of the content in there, and how are you mapping that against NAR's schedule for records retention and disposition?
Okay. The Department of Transportation has not gotten the right approval or whatever for SharePoint to be the official records management, where the ones that have to be maintained for so many years and that type of thing. That we cannot use SharePoint for that at this time. They have to be maintained. They're working on doing that. The people, the office that's in charge of that is working on doing that. But currently we retain our official records as we always have. So these are final work documents that people are using. I'll give you an example. In the division offices, they may have to maintain, it may take from the time an idea of a highway is thought about, it may take 30 years for the highway to actually be built. And so they have to maintain those records throughout that time and further into the future. You have wrinkles in your forehead, so I get the feeling I'm not answering your question.
Sorry. To the extent that the content that's being created in this space probably qualifies as a record, how are you making sure that the content that exists at any point in time is regularly managed to meet your requirement under NAR? I'm not talking about that system. I'm talking about managing in your system.
No, that's what I'm saying. This does not fall under NAR. That has to be. Those records are maintained other places.
If it falls under NARA, we say you can keep a copy here, but you can't keep the original in our collaboration portal. And when we bring that up, people will say, well, what's left over? And we're up to 1.5 terabytes, I think, of stuff that people are just creating. And whether it's training materials, presentations, meeting minutes, handbooks for employees, all of this stuff, none of this stuff falls under the guidelines.
Does everybody understand what we're talking about? Okay. All right. Okay. Yes.
Different, but I think it's sort of a related question. Can you talk a little bit about how a site like this helps groups with version control of different things? Like if a group is collaborating on something and that's one of the issues with emails, there's always multiple versions flying around and you can't figure out which one's the most current.
Oh yeah, it's part of our SharePoint 100 video that I think is only about 10 minutes, so we try to get everybody to watch it. Nobody does. But I think one of the things it has in there is, okay, let's have an illustration that we've all seen before where a spreadsheet gets emailed out, everybody has to comment on it, what version, oh no. And after, this little scenario, you realize there's 200 copies of this thing floating around, different share drives, different all over the place, nobody knows what it is. That's a huge focus of our training is, all right, here's something pretty simple. Now imagine this document never moves. We'll go, wait a minute. You say it never moves. There's a stack of versions underneath it. They're kind of invisible to you. They are searchable if you don't need to get back to them. But in general, we figure, when we talk to people, we say, if you have anything that has multiple versions, and it's not weird, it can live in here. It can live just fine. It has a URL. It never changes. Just let it be. The biggest place this is great is with meeting agendas, because anytime we say meeting agendas, people groan, and just showing them, a meeting workspace or something, just a little really simple workflow. We really let them own it. We show them step by step how to do it, but we let them own it. And show them, calculate it out and show this is going to save you a total of 4 hours a week. Is that a huge deal? It's not the biggest deal, but multiplied, times every week of the year, you do that for a bunch of different meetings. This adds up to some pretty big savings in time. Savings in time isn't, you're not saving money if these are federal folks. They're not going to do, but now they're able to do more interesting things. That strategic planning session, we had to cut down to 2 hours. From 4 hours because we're just busy with everything else. We got rid of busy work. So we can't have 4 hours of just collaboration strategy.
And another, with web conferencing, talking about taking meeting notes, we share the thought of, we use Adobe Connect for our web conferencing. So we open up a notepad and somebody takes the notes during a meeting or a development session, and everybody's able to review the notes in real time, so it's not like you have to send out meeting notes and have people make corrections and get it back when you're done with the meeting. Your notes are also complete, which is a time saver. And that's really what, as a team, we try to focus on. Listening to what the organization's business needs are and trying to find ways for people to be more effective and efficient in accomplishing those business requirements.
Corey, you mentioned you have 1.5 terabytes or something of data. Are you doing anything to eliminate duplicates?
We're getting there. That's one of those issues that at first we thought, man, look at all this space. We're never going to fill this up. Nobody's ever going to come here. Now that we reached 2,300 unique users a month, and DOT says, hey, you know you all are massive? And we say, okay, well, let's start archiving things. Let's start deleting duplicates. Really, we've let that evolve over time because we had some governance in the beginning that had to do with eliminating that, and it didn't work when you had 19 people playing around. At the end of the day, kind of like with records management, if somebody says, well, I want to keep this, but nobody ever really looks at it and we're never going to work on it again, and we go, okay, can we not have it here then? Can we just move it someplace else? We also keep things like videos, I keep them separate. They're giant PowerPoints. Look, right now our technology just can't handle that. We're talking about wiki pages and like meeting agendas. They're so tiny, they don't really make a dent. But yeah, we're moving more towards figuring out.
Does every user have their own SharePoint page, or how do you get them to use the site, put documents where they should be categorized?
They'll have my sites, which we generally say don't use your my site for anything except filling out your about me and a little profile picture. And we'll yell people if they build things in there and say, I built it here. How do I build it here? And we go, hey, we told you when you joined in, my site is your site. We can't get in there. We're not. You literally are the administrator. We can't do anything about your site. What we do is we really put that in the hands of the owners. We make that a part of the training. We say, okay, you're the owner. Whether you're going to have 5 users or 500 users, whatever office or organization you're the site owner for, here's what you need to organize with your users. I'm going to talk to them about what goes here. Doing a kind of P-line methodology type thing, like, okay, long term, what are your goals? Let's get some requirements. Let's set up some governance. We show them how to do that, and it ends up being pretty effective. But it is on kind of a organizational level.
Okay. One more question, then we're going to have to move on.
Do you all audit in any way what your site owners are doing, or best practices reviewed in your bi-weekly meetings if you notice that, okay, these people built a library with a bunch of folders instead of using views? Or
we could even get more critical than that. But this was definitely a lesson learned. PI, personal information, we had a higher level individual in the leadership asked that all the COOP SOPs be posted to SharePoint. And by trying to meet that, the individual, the division offices, in putting up their COOP plans, put up PII